always see you because of this life. Teachers like feedback from their audience. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the third annual DigCit Talks. Tonight, these 12 students will share the stories of the passion projects that they pursued throughout the year. What makes tonight special is that these are not just talks. These students have taken action to solve problems that they identified in our school and in our community. It all started back in October with these 3 questions. We asked students, what do you love? What breaks your heart about what you love? And what are some possible solutions? So tonight is the culmination of 7 months of hard work towards innovative, student-driven solutions. In what has been a pretty eventful year in politics and youth activism, students have chosen a variety of exciting and deeply personal topics tonight. I might cry in a second. I hope that you learn as much from this group as I have, not just about photography and videography and design and all of our favorite things, but important life lessons about recognizing each other's humanity, finding strength where others might see weakness, and never letting complacency take hold of our future. Thank you, DigCit, for an incredible year, you guys, and break a leg tonight, but not really. If you take a look at your program, you'll see that for the first time ever, we have embedded some student-created multimedia projects and videos throughout the talks, and that's so that you, the audience, can have just a tiny taste of the tremendous amount of work that these guys are doing in DigCit throughout the year. So we're going to start off tonight with one of their videos.
The positive impact of DigCit is the result of the passion projects that those students pick. It gives you so much more freedom and so much more opportunity that you won't be able to get in a different type of classroom environment. I've been able to see students that may have been on the fence on taking that class, and they've just flourished. I believe that when you talk about project-based learning, which is something that occurs in all of our classes, but DigCit revolves around project-based learning. You've got a class of 15, 20 students. Their experiences were unique to their own desires of what they wanted to get out of that course. It's exciting to see the direction that class is going to go in the future.
We're going to a digital world, so knowing how to navigate that platform is going to be crucial for the success of your generation. So the fact that you guys are at your ages and learning about how to conduct yourself in this arena is reading a new era of awareness.
DigCit is a class that's based in real-world authentic projects. It prepares students for their future careers to be problem solvers, critical thinkers, entrepreneurs, so they really hone those leadership, public speaking skills, and all of those soft skills that aren't taught explicitly in other more traditional classes.
Actually, I'm really proud of the failure that I had as part of my DigCit experience. That was essentially me trying to use my skills as a photographer in telling the narrative of the homeless in Charlotte. And that didn't end up working out because of a lot of logistical issues. But because of that failure, my current passion project is doing great, and it's essentially going to enable students who aren't even in the DigCit class to do a lot of what we're doing in here. So I'm taking my experiences and turning them into a toolkit in real time. As I learn, I can teach it. And I think that's just a really cool fun thing.
We love DigCit.
So a big thank you to Megan, Anissa, Janice, and Deja for creating that for us to use at some conferences and stuff that we go to this year. We have a very special student who is emceeing tonight's event. She kicked off our TED Talks last year with her topic about encouraging body positivity for youth, and she's been continuing to encourage all of us throughout the year as our senior student mentor. So please welcome to the stage your MC for the evening, Anita Hendricks. You're in for a treat because we have such brave and powerful speakers. You get to now see the results of a project that we've worked so hard on for the whole entire year. So to kick off the night, we have Rachel Hill with All Heroes.
Superman, Batman, Captain America, Kim Peek, Wonder Woman, Biddy and Bo, Claudia Haskett, Brian, Travis. These are the names of just a few of my favorite superheroes. Now I know what you're thinking. You probably only recognize 4 of those names. We all know Captain America and Wonder Woman, but who on earth are those other people I mentioned? Some of you may be familiar with Kim Peek, the world's most famous savant, a man who was a mixture of brilliance and disability. Although Kim struggled with many everyday activities such as social interaction because of his severe autism, Kim had an incredible memory. He could read a book twice as fast as the average person and was extremely good at calendar calculations. And maybe you've heard of Biddy and Bo's Coffee Shop in Wilmington, North Carolina. Started by the parents of Biddy and Bo, 2 children with Down syndrome, the shop is run by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and creates an environment where people with disabilities can feel valued and accepted. They create an environment where people can feel valued and accepted. You see, there's something about that word created. It means they had to make an environment, because the one my heroes live in is not a suitable one. This is a problem. The world we live in today is not accepting of people's quirks and uniquenesses. Children with special needs, and the idea of special needs in general, are often given a negative connotation. I've heard stories from mothers who have children with special needs. They're often told, "I'm sorry, your child won't be able to," and they insert a list of disadvantages. Isn't that messed up? When we think of special needs, our mind goes straight to the bad, the negative, and all the disadvantages we associate with them. And I've always been drawn towards people with interesting characteristics and quirks. And when I see someone being mistreated for what makes them special, I think, what can I do? I'm just your average senior in high school who spends her days scrolling through the internet, editing pictures and videos. What can I do to make a simple, peaceful change? Well, this year, I created a video series showcasing the beauty I see in many individuals. I called my video series All Heroes, because I wanted to focus on making people know that they have something unique about them, dare I say, a superpower, that could one day make them someone's hero. And I wanted my videos to be available so that all could see children with disabilities and children without being created equal, because they all have the power to make a change. Sounds easy, right? Unfortunately, I did face some challenges. Luckily, I'm a firm believer in learning from my mistakes. See, to start things off, I filmed my first video from a vertical angle, which is like the #1 sin in video editing. And as I edited the video, I thought, no, I'm doomed. These videos are going to be a complete failure. No one's going to watch them. But I continued to film, and I continued to edit, and eventually I had 4 videos showcasing the heroes in my community. Just like you and me, the people in these videos have their imperfections. You might be the person who never talks, but you're a super great listener. Or you might be the person who talks too much and you're considered annoying, but you're a super great friend and you're super comfortable on stage. There are people with different physical, learning, and developmental disabilities, but I have found that these are some of the most confident, happy, and smiley people I know. They encourage me to love myself and my superb quirks just as much as I pour out love for others. Embrace what makes you, you, and you will find that you belong in that list I mentioned earlier. Superman, Batman, Captain America, Kim Peek, Wonder Woman, Biddy and Bo, Claudia Haskett, and you. All heroes making a change in the world. Thank you.
How we embrace all brain Caitlin Lancaster with Learn, Lead, and Stress.
Our school motto is learn, lead, and serve. But this year, it's been more like learn, lead, and stress. This talk will focus on how we, as a school community, can better care for our students' mental health. So, why is mental health important? To me, it is essential to take care of my emotional and overall well-being in order to be the best version of myself. Maintaining a strong mental health is a continuous effort that's not always easy. It means that some days I make great progress, but other days I take steps back. Mental illness can make getting through the day a challenge. The thing about mental illness is that it doesn't set off alarms at first. It creeps in slowly. You don't even realize something is wrong. It's sneaky like that. It starts out with little negative thoughts here and there, nothing to be concerned about. You justify it as a stressful or rough time. Then, those little negative thoughts turn into little negative actions. Turning down social events, pushing away your friends and family, getting too little sleep or forgetting to eat. Again, your mind tells you it's temporary. Stress in work or school, a rough time. When in reality, it's the illness weighing you down. Then one day, those little negative thoughts have turned into habits. But they came on so slowly that you don't recognize how you have changed. How you have become all consumed by these parasites in your mind. You realize the way you've been feeling these past weeks, months, or years is not okay. Now my hope is that if you've ever had feelings like this, you reach out to a teacher, your best friend, your brother, your sister, someone. Habits are always hard to break, but with healthy practices, you can begin to gain back your positive thoughts. The illness does not make you weak, but in fact, with every bump and setback that you get through, you become stronger. This year, I've had a lot of bumps and setbacks. I'm in my junior year of high school, which has a reputation of being the hardest year. Underclassmen, this is not an exaggeration. Between SATs, ACTs, honors classes, APs, sports, and clubs, junior is rough to say the least. But I'm not telling you this to scare you or freak you out. I'm telling you this now so you can better prepare yourself for a successful future. For me, I knew I wasn't alone when it came to dealing with pressure to school and getting into college. My peers around me were dealing with the same thing. Last year, some classmates of mine sent out a mental health survey to the students in the high school. The results were unsettling, yet not surprising. Nearly half reported frequent feelings of anxiety. This outrageous number is what planted the seeds for my passion project. In October, I started the Mental Wellness Club at my school to give students another resource to cope with the stress and anxiety that they were facing. Going to the first meeting, I was very excited, but also nervous that no one would show up. However, there was a great turnout. Students came to meet new friends and share ideas about reducing our collective anxiety levels. Now we meet about once a month. We made stress balls, talked about the benefits of meditation, the importance of goal setting, and helped make Easter eggs for the children at Caterpillar Ministries. In November, I hosted a Twitter chat on mental health awareness. Seeing teachers and students' perspective on mental health was eye-opening. Students were able to see that they are not alone and should feel comfortable reaching out to counselors, teachers, or classmates. Most importantly, between starting my club, hosting the Twitter chat, and just this project in general, I've learned that it is okay to struggle, and it's even more okay to ask for help. The people that have helped me the most throughout this year have been my teachers. Teachers can have profound impact on a student's life. From asking me every morning how I'm doing and truly meaning it, to accommodating to my needs in stressful times. My teachers have emphasized that the classroom is a safe environment and it is okay to make mistakes. So thank you for answering all my anxious emails of kindness and patience. As a school, we need to do a better job of fostering an environment of mental wellness. We need to learn, lead, serve, and take care of mental health. Teachers, have open discussions with your students about the overwhelming amount of anxiety they're facing. Teach us to balance their time, manage their schedules, and be aware of the dangerous symptoms of mental illness when they arise. Start somewhere, so you can be sure that your students find success in the future. But for students, the one thing I hope you take away from my talk tonight is
that it is okay to struggle, and it's even more okay to ask for help. I am living proof that with healthy coping mechanisms and an extremely strong support system, you can complete the most daunting task. So thank you.
Relate to that topic. So next up we have Jake with Understanding ADHD, and it's a brief talk. So please welcome Jake Montoya.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Living with ADHD has been a lifelong struggle of mine. I was diagnosed in the second grade. Now I'm a senior, and I take medicine every day. And if I don't, I'm very wild and energetic. For my passion project, I interviewed Junior Riley Payne. And I made a film to show teachers at LNC the struggles of learning with ADHD.
I'm Riley, and I have ADHD. It's an everyday struggle because it takes you extra time and extra energy to get things done. It just takes that extra effort. Everybody gets distracted, let's say, different level of distraction. With ADD, you take more time on things, get distracted easily. Like fidget spinners for him, like those help me out so much. People didn't understand. I could listen and do that at the same time. Those things were a blessing. Even though I get distracted very easily, and I feel like a lot of kids with ADHD have something they're really strong in. And my strong thing is math. Math soothes me. I struggle with advocating. I think with ADD and ADHD, that's definitely a struggle. You kind of have to push yourself a little bit. Like breaking down like assignments, I know that sometimes when I go home, I'll break down an assignment myself if the teacher doesn't. But if the teacher does, you can tell that I will always get a good grade on that. I will have success. I go home and I learn a totally different way. Everybody has different learning abilities. Kids like me have a certain learning ability that teachers kind of have to understand.
So I hope my talk today has helped you all. Understand the difficulties of having ADHD, and that we all have different ways of learning. Thank you.
Next we're going to hear from one of the biggest tree huggers I know. So next up is Alex Perez with Reuse It or Lose It. What's your favorite kind of flower? Mine are daisies. The golden yellow center and the white floral petals just give me happy vibes. Every time I see them, I want to start a garden in my backyard. Gardens are so extravagant with their vibrantly colored flowers and delicious vegetables. I've always wanted to have a garden filled with sunflowers, roses, tomatoes, cilantro, rosemary, and way more other plants, but I don't have the time them all, and that would take up all the time after this talk. Now, who in the audience gardens? Okay, I can see a couple of people. When it comes to gardening, most people tend to use non-organic soil that contains fertilizers and chemicals that are not as healthy for the environment. But I bet you didn't realize that you have all the necessities to create your own fertile soil right in your own trash can. When it comes to gardening, my passion project this year has revolved around composting and recycling. Compost is the natural process of recycling organic material through decomposition and turning it into fertile soil. Recycling also helps with the effects of harmful pollution. Recycling can involve composting, creating new things, and reusing materials. Throughout this year, I was able to do all three through my passion project, even though I run into some bumps along the road. At first, I wanted to bring composting to the high school. Unfortunately, I was unable to bring my dream to life. Logistically, we couldn't make cafeteria compost happen yet. Mr. Smith. Yeah. But
I quickly switched plans and I created a video on how to compost. I also blogged about the chemistry behind composting. It's very simple. With just some worms, a bin, some bedding, and a little bit of gardening soil, you can create your own fertile soil right in your own trash can. Also this year, I decided I wanted to bring recycling bins to the cafeteria. Now, I've been attending Lake Norman Charter for the past 3 years, and I've realized that all the classrooms have recycling bins, except for the cafeteria. So I found this strange, and I decided to ask if we could make a change. Thankfully, this plan went more smoothly than last, and now we have recycling bins in the cafeteria. Now, a lot of children have a lot of waste every single day, because we have 800 students times 180 days. That's a lot of waste. Also, so I love teaching the students about composting and recycling, and thankfully, this year I was able to. Also, I love using the importance of reuse, recycle through my everyday life. For example, you could go thrifting, like I love to. Also, these are my grandpa's parents. These are my grandpa's pants, actually. I love wearing them and making them into fashion. But also this year, my friends and I reused materials to create an avant-garde outfit out of coffee filters, wire scraps, bottle caps, and cardboard, which you saw if you had come earlier to the Recycle the Runway project. So what amazing creation could you make from materials lying around? Or do you have any materials that you could donate to our art program? So compost, recycle, reuse materials, create something new. Do something now so that one day I can enjoy my beautiful green garden filled with homemade wind chimes and birdhouses and sunflowers, filled with plentiful amounts of sunflowers, daisies, roses, tomatoes, cilantro, and all the other plants I don't have the time to name. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. You can see the results of the work right here in the lunchroom. And next up, we have Josie with her title called Power in Politics.
Only 17% of Mecklenburg County votes on non-presidential election years, according to the Charlotte Agenda. I know that the last thing we want to talk about right now is politics. But if we avoid the topic forever, we'll never find a solution to the problems that exist. As a young person who doesn't yet have the power to vote, this year I felt like there was nothing I could do. If a politician's job is to benefit our community and our people, why are they not working diligently to solve these problems? Well, the fault is partially our own. Many of us don't use our voice, and we can't afford to stay silent any longer. My mission this year through my DigSit project has been to educate people about their power in politics, to help them to see why voting is important, and to provide resources to participate in peaceful protests. We need to tell our government what we want, so that we can work to build the better future that we imagine. We secure our own freedom when we actively participate in our government. Did you know that the right to vote is a universal human right? Millions of people around the world are still fighting for this right today, and some citizens of other countries risk death when they go out to vote. All people deserve to have this right, and to exercise their freedom to the best of their ability. All people deserve freedom. All people have free will, and all people can think creatively and choose their own path. In order to be free, we need to embrace our human rights, including the right to vote. In the United States, we are grateful to have the right to vote and to participate in government with freedom of speech. It hurts me that previous generations fought for us to have this right, but we don't use it. We cannot have actual representation or real democracy if the results from our elections are determined by just a small percentage of the United States population. That's what I've been working towards this year. When people do not understand why it is important to vote, they limit their freedom because they do not give themselves a say in government decisions. So why don't people vote? Raise your hand if you are eligible to vote. Now keep your hand raised if you have voted in every election since you've been eligible. Many United States citizens do not understand the basics of the parties, positions, or politicians on their ballot,
or they just don't have time to do this research. So for my project, I compiled simple and straightforward resources on my website to help people to quickly learn this information. However, as I was completing the project, I realized that the biggest reason people don't vote is that they feel like their voice doesn't matter. Sometimes our politicians do let us down. So what do we do when politicians don't follow through on their promises? Well, that's when we have to stand up to protest for what we believe in. As I'm sure you've seen, protesting is becoming more and more common as a form of political expression. Take a walk in uptown Charlotte and you'll see many different forms of protest. I participated in several protests this year. Standing up and showing support for issues you care about can change the world. It promotes a positive culture and encourages discussion about controversial topics. In order to build a better world where we can all peacefully express our political opinions by voting and protesting, we all need to be involved. We can't say that our voice doesn't matter, because every person counts, and every vote counts. What I love most about politics is that it encompasses so much. There must be something that you are passionate about, and something that you want to change. Whatever that is, pick that one thing and work towards it. Spread awareness, attend a march, start a petition, write to your representative, organize a protest. I challenge you to find that one political issue that you care about most, that inspires you to continue voting and staying involved. Because if we all take a little initiative, we can work to make the world a better place. You have power in politics and power to change the world. Thank you.
Speaking of educating our community, one of our goals in DigCit is to educate all of our peers on what a positive online presence looks like. So this year we created public service announcements on digital footprint, online safety, cyberbullying, and even online scamming. So now we're going to feature one of our favorite DigCit PSAs. Video, we are going to hear from one of our master videographers, Roger Moore. So please welcome him to the stage.
In today's society, videos are used as entertainment, marketing tools, or tell a story. People have even used videos to entertain their audience and have become famous. Let's see, in a show of hands, how many of you can watch a video today of some shape or form? Pretty much the whole room. People watch videos to educate themselves and learn more about our society, and studies have shown that we're more likely to remember content that is presented in the form of a video or a photo. And according to an article released by Cisco, videos are likely to make up 80% of all internet traffic by 2021. That's a crazy statistic. We watch videos to educate ourselves and learn more about our society, but they're not only great for that though. A compelling video has the power to motivate a person to persist in the face of obstacles. For example, last year when I was a freshman, I was completely unmotivated to do what I loved. I didn't make the track team because my time was only 6:12 and I lost all hope in everything. Until I came across a motivational video by Casey Neistat. Motivational video is often get a 6-minute video rambling on about a random topic. It can be as short as 27 seconds long, like what you just saw in that video. And it doesn't even require you speaking. You can have text and you can create the same exact effect. Casey's videos helped me find my passion for running again, and though I did not try out for the track team this year, I have not given up on what I love. When we were asking about the passion project, a thought occurred to me. If motivational YouTubers like Casey Neistat can create videos to empower a person, why can't I do the same? On my channel, MetroMade, I've created several motivational videos to help get people out of the same situation I once was in. Here's one of them.
This is you, going through life with sadness. You aren't motivated to do the things you want because of this current situation you're in, and you think you'll keep going downhill. You think you're so stressed out and you spread that to other people around you. What's the point of doing this? Doing this will not get you anywhere in life. Let's restart. Being sad doesn't do anything but add more stress to you and others around you. Starting out your day with a positive attitude can impact you and those around you hugely. Let's think about it this way. If you smile and wave and make one person's day, then that person will be more than likely to want to spread their happiness to someone else. And then that person will want to spread their happiness to you as well. And this doesn't always only have to be to students. You can make a teacher's day by waving. Keep going on until eventually enough people have a smile on their faces. You don't have to be sad anymore. You can just think, wow, it's someone's day today.
In 2018, making compelling videos is not difficult at all. There are so many tools that help filming and editing easier. And all you really need is a smartphone. So what's keeping you, or me, from creating the next viral video, or becoming like the next Casey Neistat? There's so many issues that people go through today, and you never know how your video might impact them. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. All right, so next up we have Jace with the unspoken bias of dress codes. Imagine a teenage girl sitting in a school office feeling confused, ashamed, and violated. That girl was me, and thinking about that moment still makes me feel small. High school girls experience this injustice every day. We are told, in outfits like this, that our bodies are a distraction, that we are the problem, not the boys who've been socialized to objectify our bodies. I want you to take a second and think about the dress code at this school or any previous school. Odds are it disproportionately governs the female body and is biased towards certain body types. When a dress code focuses primarily on what a girl is wearing, it creates a stigma that our bodies and the kinds of clothes that we wear are solely sexual. This normalizes the objectification and abuse of women. Is this what we want? To raise another generation that blames the victim, that trivializes sexism by saying boys will be boys, or encouraging boys to score? I hope not, because teaching women to dress in a certain way to avoid harassment is the definition of rape culture. We should instead be teaching our young men to rethink the messages they receive from popular culture and show respect for the female body. So what did I do? I researched the current dress code being enforced at Lake Norman Charter and found that it wasn't as fair to girls as it could be. Most of the items listed were geared towards the female body. For example, no plunging necklines or exposed cleavage, or that all accessories worn under clothing as a part of an outfit may only be seen at the straps. These examples clearly allude to what a girl would be wearing. So, I began researching gender-neutral dress codes being enforced in other school districts. Look, I know our administration has a difficult job balancing a positive learning environment with students' freedom of expression, but I felt that there was definitely a compromise within reason. I'm not saying that students should be able to wear anything, but more can be done to ensure equity and diversity in our school dress code. In January, a school dress code committee was formed here. I became very involved and attended every meeting. We rewrote the dress code in hopes that both the school administration and school board would approve. We rephrased the requirements to make sure that they were more gender neutral. For example, instead of saying all cleavage must be covered, we rephrased it to all of these body parts must be covered, which includes both boys and girls. Administration made a few edits, but approved the overall idea behind the new gender-neutral dress code. The only thing left to do now is to hear back from the school board, and most likely our revised dress code will be implemented in next year's student handbook. I unfortunately won't be here to see it because I'm graduating this year, but I'm so proud that this school has taken the initiative to promote a more positive and equal learning environment for our students. I didn't want change to happen in this school only though. I wanted there to be a way for other students in other schools to be able to fight gender bias within their school dress codes. I created a survey, petition, and instructions on how to talk to an administrator. You can check out my resources on my website, unspokenbias.weebly.com. So what can you do? Define your own manhood or womanhood. Do not let the stereotypes shape your actions. Avoid using language that degrades or objectifies women. And speak out if you hear someone make an offensive joke. We cannot allow gender stereotypes to thrive in our schools any longer. Let's address the problems so girls don't have to feel small and ashamed for being who they are. It all starts with one passionate student. Thank you.
Jace actually had something published to Youth Radio concerning this topic, so give her a round of applause for that. All right, so our next speaker is Jackson Newton with A Special Understanding.
The summer before my freshman year, I volunteered at a sports camp for children with special needs. On the first day, I was assigned my camper, and his name was William. William said to me, "Well, yeah, sure, I'll be your friend, but when you let your guard down, I'm going to eliminate you." This was pretty concerning for some of my fellow counselors, but for me, I was up for the challenge. I knew by the end of the week, William was going to love me. By the end of that week, I didn't feel the same way. I was beaten down and frustrated. I knew William still wanted me dead. I was only partially listening when we were talking about our favorite things about the week. When William was asked, I expected him to probably say soccer because he managed to hit me in the head with a soccer ball. When asked what his favorite thing about the week was, William looked straight at me and said, "My favorite thing was Jackson." You see, William was my inspiration. He showed a level of love that not even I could understand. If I couldn't see it, obviously no one else could, because that was my entire goal that week. He was the inspiration behind my passion project. For my passion project, I went to Lake Norman Charter Elementary School and did a presentation for the kids, not the adults, because they are the future for my project. I came in this football jersey and with a football in my hand, tossing around casually. I did that, one, because maybe it would command a little more respect from the kids and they'd listen to me a little bit better. Two, because it'd get them thinking, Well, he's the varsity quarterback. He probably only hangs out with the jocks and the cool kids. And their minds would be blown when I told them that I do something very different from that. And 3, because I think it makes my arms look pretty good. My first lesson, I asked them to draw a dog, and that was the only thing. No requirements, no breed, shape, size, color, anything. Just draw me a dog. When they were done drawing, I collected them all and I showed them off, and we giggled about what some of them looked like, and then I brought it to a serious note. I said, sure, all these dogs have very distinct differences, but if you took them all to a dog park, wouldn't they chase the same ball, chew on the same bone, sniff each other's tails? We as humans need to mimic that type of oblivion to the physical and mental differences that we find so important in our society. For the second activity, I brought out a bag of Peanut Lovers trail mix. And I asked the kids, if you could take one piece from this trail mix, what would it be? And the answer was a resounding, it's the M&M, it's the M&M, of course. And I asked them, but why? This is my Peanut Lovers trail mix. I'm obviously a peanut lover. Why don't you feel the same way? And they said things like, it's sweeter, it tastes better, it adds flavor to the trail mix. And I said, once again, you can relate this to your group of friends and the people around you. You should look for the M&Ms in your life, the people that are sweeter and that add flavor to your lives, not just the common kid, the cool kid, the regular peanuts. For my last activity, I showed them a picture of my dog Zoe because I didn't think I was able to bring it to the school. She has what you call an anxiety disorder, and many people would agree that associated with the word disorder means it's a bad thing. I argue with these kids that it's a great thing. It's what makes Zoe who she is. She's much more loving, caring, sweet, and attentive than any dog I know. Sure, she's constantly underfoot. Sure, she whines like she swallowed a squeaky toy, but it makes her who she is. Through these lessons, I sent the kids out with a message that I'm going to send you guys out with too. We're all humans and we're all social beings. We crave social interaction. It's what makes us the species that we are. So the next time that you see a man acting a little strange on the bus or at the park, and he may obviously have a mental disability, instead of priding yourself and looking away, not staring, not causing attention to it, introduce yourself. Instead of telling your kid to hush when he's asking about the man very loudly, Dad, what's wrong with that man? Mom, why is he acting like that? You should introduce yourself. Introduce your kid. Tell them your name, your kid's name, ask their name. Ask about jobs, hobbies, all sorts of things. Get the conversation rolling, because the time for isolation is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. It looks like you had a lot of fun with our Littlest Knights. So next up, we have Anissa with Dance Strong.
I started dancing when I was 8 in a small town called Spring Lake, Michigan. Since then, dancing has been one of my biggest passions. Whenever I get a chance, I am constantly watching dance videos. I love how confident, graceful, and expressive dancers are through their movements. I believe strongly in the benefits that dance can provide, especially for girls like me who have struggled with confidence and a low self-esteem. So why dance? Research shows that dancing can improve your overall mental health and happiness. There was a time in middle school when I'd stopped dancing, and during that time, I was depressed and I didn't feel like myself. However, when I got back into dancing, I felt amazing. I could express emotions through dance that were hard for me to voice. Dancing instantly boosted my mood and self-esteem. With help from my mentor, Anita, who did a similar project last year, I made a plan of action. I contacted the coordinator for the LNC Middle School dance team, and I asked if I could attend their meetings. I was really nervous that no one would show up. However, my fears were eased once I saw how excited the girls were to work with a girl like me. Each Friday, we discussed topics on body image, how to better value themselves, and to be confident. And we danced. In addition to the physical and emotional benefits that dance can provide, it can teach you how to work as part of a team. One meeting, I paired the girls up and gave them only 20 minutes to prepare a simple dance routine. You should have seen the look on their faces. Why? because they lack that self-confidence. But it was incredible to see the collaboration that resulted from that team bonding exercise. Throughout my Friday meetings, I realized that my struggles with the way I looked resonated with many of them. I was actually making a difference in teaching them how to be more confident through dance. As young women, we know how important it is to love our bodies, be confident, and to increase our self-esteem. Because as young women, we are all too often tearing one another down. And ladies, you know what I mean. So what can you do to help solve this problem that young girls are facing? Well, for one, keep conversations positive. Tell us that we're strong and smart and how you admire the amazing work we're doing. From the time we are young, there are expectations placed on how we should look or how we should act. Help us recognize the effects we see in social media that lower our self-esteem. I may have struggled with self-confidence and a negative body image, but thanks to dance and that important role it has played in my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa. So now we're going to transition from a talk about dance to a talk about music. So next up is Janaise with Mindful Melodies.
Alright, this is a recorder. I'm sure we probably all recognize this, and unfortunately know what it's like. So, show of hands, how many of you played this in elementary school or have kids who played in elementary school? Yeah, a lot of you, okay. Me too, I'm part of that demographic. I was part of the Cornelius Elementary Recorder Ensemble, and that was basically a bunch of little kids blasting out contrast funds, Ode to Joy, and occasionally Carol of the Bells and Sleigh Ride for a cute little Christmas and dancing performance. I thought it was pretty awesome, and you know what, earning these little belts to tie around the end of it every time we learned a song was like the 4th grade equivalent of a job promotion. It was pretty cool, not gonna lie, but I mean, what's so great about a recorder? What if I told you that learning how to play this instrument, even if it's just for a little while, could help your brain develop in more ways than you might think possible? According to the Royal Conservatory of Music, studying music leads to improved language skills, emotional resilience, attention span, empathy, and self-confidence. And there's a lot of other statistics that I really don't have the time to talk about, but they're all pretty similar to this. So, I mean, beyond any statistics or scientific mumbo-jumbo, like what does studying music actually add to someone's life? Like, I know I didn't come home and say, Mom, guess what? I'm working on improving my language skills and emotional resilience and attention span. You know, like when I came home from my piano lessons when I was 5 years old. What 5-year-old would say that? So, let's consider specimen A, our favorite song, Hot Cross Buns. So, musical notation looks like dots and lines on paper. It's a combination of tone and time. And for me, learning how to read music was like learning how to read another language. And like any language, music has its own nuances, and these dots and lines are only given meaning when they interact with each other. So whenever I'm reading through a piece of music, I have to ask myself, what do these notes translate to? How do they sound? How do they make me feel? Is it dissonant? Is it harmonious? What story is it trying to tell? And it's not really that dramatic with hot cross buns. Like, it makes me want to go to my local bakery and pick up some pastries. But in general, reading music is not just dots and lines on paper. It's so much more than that. So I'll tell you my personal story with music. I've been studying music since I was 4, and whether it was something more self-driven like piano, or something more group-oriented like band or recorder ensemble, I can easily tell you how each of those experiences has impacted me for the better, and I will. Learning how to play the piano was my first experience with being genuinely excited to learn because I wanted to learn. I feel like that was a pretty valuable experience, especially at the age of 4. Recorder ensemble helped me dip my foot in with learning in a group environment, and band expanded upon that. Graduating with 8 years in band is the culmination of my musical career thus far. And I love that I can say thus far, like it doesn't have to end here, but I digress. So, being in band has helped me better myself, work in and outside of the team to better my section, and better the band as a whole. And you know what? I'm not athletic, okay? I don't play sports, and I never have, and I probably never will. So things like band, like Night Riders, like jazz band, those things have been my team sports for pretty much my entire life. And you know what? I love it. I wouldn't give it up for anything. Watching myself grow, watching my peers grow, watching the band grow over the years, that brings a genuine smile to my face that nothing can take away. So being motivated, being passionate, experiencing this deep, unique love for my craft, learning because I want to, that's what studying music does for me. But this isn't just me. I had the opportunity to interview a couple of my peers about their experiences with music education, and some of them were just starting out learning how to play their first instrument, and some of them have been playing instruments for a couple of years. And regardless of their experience level, they all had something positive to say about how studying music had impacted their lives. And I think that's pretty special. So participating in music and youth is an important experience for many people. And while it's definitely not for everyone, I think people should be able to dip their foot into that if they want to. Anyone can, and anyone should. So what did I do about it? I sent a survey to my high school peers about their experiences with music education. And based on the responses I got, I decided to make a resource website for beginner and intermediate instrumental musicians. So parents in the room, how many of you have kids who play instruments? Or how many of you kids do play instruments? Cool. You guys are cool. So having resources that help you figure out what instrument you should learn how to play rather than navigating those waters by yourself is something pretty useful. In my opinion, I think that's pretty useful, and I'm sure you guys might agree. So you can check out my website at mindfulmelodies.weebly.com. So what I care about is seeing other people participate in the same opportunities that I've had and possibly more. Each person's experience with music is different, and I can't tell you otherwise. But what I can tell you is that each musical opportunity you provide yourself with will prove itself valuable in one way or another. So, start with some hot cross buns. You might be surprised at where I can take you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. So, it's time for another featured video. Many people don't know that DigSit is primarily a project-based course. Our most recent big project was a service video project. We created short, compelling videos to tell the stories of nonprofit organizations within the Charlotte community, such as Caterpillar Ministries and Heinz Beet Farms. So here's the video that students created for the Refugee Services of Charlotte.
Started in 2006. Rachel Humphreys, the director, was teaching some refugees in an apartment complex nearby, and the students would come to her with stacks and stacks of paper, and so she realized that there was a great need not only to learn English, but to understand some of what American society involves.
Some people, they got the problem with paperwork, some people, the problem with the bill, they have everybody.
Rachel saw a great need for newly arriving refugees to have a cultural coach, an American friend that can explain to them what life in America is all about, what life in Charlotte is all about. So she called it Fruitful Friends because she thought it was a good way to establish a trust and friendship when she matched up a refugee family with an American family. The biggest need would be people that are willing to be friends, to welcome refugees here to the community.
I like to help the refugee because I'm from India. I know when you come first time how you feel, how much help you need.
We run some self-sufficiency classes. That's a part of our motto. Arrive, survive, and thrive.
I was coming from Charlotte in 2010. When I was coming here,
I didn't speak any English. I come to here for the future center. People was helping me how to apply the job, how my kids get school. Gallery center helped me.
I have to shut up and then little bit. Because I keep so many people here and I feel happy.
Alright, so we go back to our second to last talk of the night. You guys are going to love this next talk because she's so passionate about her project. Please welcome Lady Dawn to the stage with Being the Other Person.
Thank you. I didn't change my book. Alright, so how many of us have ever seen a stray cat? Alright, so most of us. I want you to try to imagine 10 more. Then 20 more, 30, 40, you get the point. I'm going to jump straight into this. The US is home to over 70 million homeless cats. That's about 7 times the population of our entire state. Cats are listed among the world's 100 most invasive species. So how did we get here? First, a little background. There are 2 kinds of homeless cats, ferals and strays. Strays are likely to come up to you begging for food or attention, while ferals are wild and want nothing to do with you whatsoever. Both kinds of cats, however, multiply exponentially. Watch this. We start with 1 cat, that's generation 1. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's just from 1 cat and her offspring in about 1.5 years. And that's how we got to where we are, the top 100. And it's not something to be proud of, but it's what happens when we allow these cats to go unchecked for as long as we have. So maybe you're not a cat lover like me. Why should you care? Cats aren't the only ones suffering. They're ruining habitats, causing extinctions, disturbing local communities, and overwhelming shelters. Mix that one up, it's fine. This year, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I was tired of seeing these cats suffering and not doing anything about it. Enter Project Happy Paws, a one-woman rescue and education project. Excuse me. There's so many ways to help this growing population, and yet we all sit back and say, someone else will do it. Or, there are too many people already doing that. Or, my personal least favorite, I can't make a big difference, so why try? So I created Happy Paws to educate others on the steps they can take to help this population and to be that somebody else, be that other person. Happy Paws' first project was a little donation drive I called Christmas Paws. It was around Christmas time, so the title was appropriate then. It took just a couple of days to set up, and it practically ran itself. In the end, we had about 2 boxes full of donations for the Humane Society of Charlotte, and that was an amazing feeling, being able to collect the items these animals needed the most. The next project, however, I didn't have time to think about, kind of just had to hit the ground running, and it jumped straight into what Project Happy Paws is all about, rescue. So I want you to meet a friend of mine who's very near and dear to my heart, Muffin. Muffin lives on a rural property near my home, and I first met her in July 2017, visiting family and friends. At the time, she had a litter of kittens just old enough to find their new homes. So obviously, I didn't think about it. Kittens are cute. The end. Bye. However, when I went back mid-December, I found a skinny, frail, injured cat with puncture wounds in her side, seeping and nasty. She was friendly as could be, but she was injured, and she was mothering 5 new kittens. So I set up a GoFundMe. I couldn't leave these guys alone, and after a week or 2, I had enough donations to start the rescue process. So the process I talk about is called TNR. TNR is the most humane and effective way we have to control feral cat populations. So how do you do it? First, TNR, T stands for trap. I borrow traps from my local Humane Society, at a low cost that allows them to replace these traps should I decide to steal them, destroy them, or otherwise. I borrowed these traps, went out and set them in freezing cold weather. And when I checked the traps later, there sat Muffin and one of her very angry kittens. N stands for neuter. The morning after Muffin and her kitten were trapped, they headed to a low-cost spay and neuter clinic specifically for feral cats. Excuse me. Specifically for feral cats. Standard procedure is for the trapper to keep these cats overnight after surgery while they're unable to regulate their body temperature. And finally, R stands for release. Muffin, after some recuperation, was able to go back to her home, and her people were very happy to see her back and not pregnant. Can you imagine that one, right? One of her kittens, Donut, was adopted by our very own Mr. and Mrs. Smith, principal and English teacher here at Charter, and I hear he's doing amazing. Project Happy Paws has become so much more than just a school project, and it's getting better all the time. I'm so happy to have made this amazing journey, and it's only just beginning. We all have a role in rescue. It's just about getting out there and picking one. If you'd like more information about Project Happy Paws, the information's up here. And I was gonna bring my cards, but I didn't, so that's that. So what do you say? If I can save 8 cats in 4 months, what can we all do together? Thank you.
We have arrived at the last talk of the night. It's sure to provide you all with a challenge. Let's welcome Yusuf to the stage with Change the World Because You Won't.
The title of this talk is directed at the adults in the room. The voices of the ignored are the voices of humanity's youth. Kids and teenagers from all across the globe have virtually no say in the world we're about to inherit. We're forced to stand by, stagnantly observing as the Earth's resources are stripped away, racism thrives in political sectionalism, and the lives of our own peers are taken in senseless acts of violence. We have the right and the duty to change the world. Thing is, most of us don't have the ability, or at least we didn't until now. Mediums like Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and platforms like them have made activism viral. Anybody with a cell phone can share their opinion to millions of people at the touch of a button. Despite the massive influence social media gives any one person, I realize you can't just throw together a tweet and kick off a movement. With that in mind, let's break down a movement that I became a part of, and the steps that I took to help continue the conversation. You'll find that these steps can be used as a sort of template for any activism-based project. When I came to this conclusion, I put together a toolkit for anybody to follow in my footsteps, changing the world as they see fit. One can't enact meaningful change if they can't find a topic they can relate to and identify with. So let's identify my topic. After growing up in an unspoken culture of mass shootings, the Stoneman Douglas shooting sparked outrage in myself and millions of youth across America. The streets were filled with activists, younger and louder than ever. In 2018, activism isn't just another trend youth are picking up on. We're growing and changing at rates faster than ever for a world that gets harsher and more dangerous with every passing day. With my newfound commitment to working towards gun legislation, I set out to take action. Now that you've identified your topic, it's time to do the dirty work. You need to gain an in-depth understanding of your topic and any opposition you might face, and plan accordingly. What exactly do you plan to do? What are some deliverables leading up to that point? Identification of deadlines and meeting them consistently is key to making sure your narrative gets heard. So now it's time for the fun stuff, the action. Everything you've worked towards, all the deliverables you've planned for. Assuming everything's gone well thus far, you should have planned for a best and worst case scenario. All that's left is to go for the best case. Once you've made your point, it's time to make sure your point will linger. Continuing on with my example, a rally is scheduled to follow the walkouts in an effort to help continue the nationwide conversation on gun control. It is important to stay consistent with pushing your message in order for more than 5 people to hear what you have to say. The strongest movements aren't made up of one person or any one group of people. Rather, small groups of people coming together, growing in size and influence over time. Sustainability and longevity are equally key. There is no point in putting together a plan if it relies on one person or a small group of people. The civil rights movement didn't die with Martin Luther King. The strongest movements, like I said, are made up of small groups of people growing in size and influence with time. Anyone can change the world, and everyone should try, in his or her own way. Protest by protest, issue by issue, we keep humanity moving forward. There's no such thing as perfection, and there will always be a need for protest. Martin Luther King, Malala Yousafzai, Rosa Parks, Emma Gonzalez, Alexandra Torres, Rachel Hull, Melissa McNeely, and Jamie Lord. What unites these names is a sense of duty and passion to change the world. Rest assured, I am adding my name to that list, and I challenge you all to do the same. Changing the world falls not on the few, but on the many. Join me in being among them.
So let's give one more round of applause for all the speakers. So before I turn it over to Ms. Lord, I just want to take a time to express how genuine and amazing these two women are, Ms. McNeely and Ms. Lord, for creating this class and actually motivating all of us, including me from last year. They're really great people, and so I just wanted to say that real quick. So I'll hand it over to Ms. Lord with some closing words.
We hope you all enjoyed yourselves tonight, and hopefully you learned a little something too. So what we'd like to do right now is invite our Ditch Sit families and mentors in the audience to celebrate and have some cake outside. Thank you guys so much for coming.